And we're all thinking, why aren't you being respectful to your wife? The wife didn't have boundaries. She did not set an ultimatum. And I'm not saying, I'm not throwing shade. When I make these videos, I'm not throwing shade because I've been there. Many people have been there. Welcome to Health and Life with me, Coach Natalie, and let's get right into today's topic. Hello and welcome to Health and Life with me, Coach Natalie. And today we are back for another series of Am I Wrong? And today is juicy because it has to do with relationships. So let's get right into it. So today the question is, am I wrong in trying to save my marriage after my husband said he still loves the other woman? Woo-hoo. All right, let's see what she has to say, and then we'll dissect and we'll see what we can come up with for changing our mindset. All right, but because here we talk mindset transformation, we talk about spiritual and life transformation, and an event like that can be transforming for sure, right? Like it or not, it's an event that can surely transform your life and the way that you look at things. So let's get right into it. Let's see what she has to say, and then we'll go down and see what we can come up with. All right, so we've been married for 5 years. I knew something was not right, and a couple of months ago, my husband admitted that he had been having an affair for 14 months. He flatly refused to end it and told me he loved the other woman. She had given him an ultimatum, and he told me that he wants to end our marriage and that he doesn't love me anymore. I told him I'm willing to try anything like counseling if only he would give us another chance. We are 29 and have been together for 9 years. I feel like one just doesn't throw away nearly a decade together. Am I wrong? Whew, that is a mouthful, don't you think? They've been together for 9 years. Yeah, they're 20. She's 29, so she's young. I didn't see that she mentioned they have kids. I don't know if that's good or bad, but if he doesn't want to be with her, it might be best, right? And so is she wrong for wanting to give this another try and not wanting to throw away the relationship? First, I want to say one person does not make a relationship. If you've ever been in a relationship where someone has cheated, it's not that relationships can't be salvaged after cheating, because that does happen, right? But we cannot convince the other person that they want to stay in the relationship. So that's where the problem comes, right? Because we become so attached, or whoever it is that doesn't want to leave the relationship becomes so attached that they can't see being without the other person. My suggestion to this young lady would be, start taking care of yourself. He says in his mind that he's decided that this is over. He doesn't want to go to counseling. And he's already told her, I'm not going to stop having this relationship, right? And so I don't know how long it's been, because she didn't say. He's been having the affair for 14 months, but she didn't say how long it had been since she had this conversation with him, and if this is something that's recent, right? So an affair is something, first of all, that takes time for both people to process, right? But what we need to be mindful of is that man's rejection is God's protection, or whoever you believe in, the universe, whatever it is that you believe in. If someone tells you that they don't want to be with you and that they want their space, we need to give them space. Because at this point, you're just trying to see if it's salvageable. And many times when you get into a relationship, you lose yourself in that. You can lose yourself in that person and start to find that, oh, you're so in love with them, and you're running around and you're doing, and I don't know about this young lady because she doesn't, I don't know a lot about their relationship other than what she's told us, right? But many times what happens is that we cater to, because we're so in love, and we're overly kind with the other person, and sometimes that gets taken advantage of, or sometimes it's just that it's not working and it's just not working, and the other person has made a decision and it's time to go. So he says he wants out. They've been together for 9 years, and I know, right, like that it's a situation that is not ideal, but it is a situation that it is what it is. So at some point when we're making a decision about what we're going to do, we need to be pulling our emotions out of the equation, because whenever something like this happens, if you're the one that wants to stay, the only thing you can remember is all the good times you had. How could you throw away the good times? How could you? But you're forgetting over the last 14 months that you felt something was wrong. So I have to imagine over the last 14 months wasn't so great. The relationship, it wasn't there, but there was maybe a time at the beginning of the 9 years that things were good. So we tend to go and we lament over what was good, but we forget what, maybe because we want to forget what is going wrong. In this case, like it's all about self-care. Really important for those of us who are not in this situation where a partner is wanting to leave. We need to always be making sure that we are taking care of ourselves, because love is romanticized on TV, but is that really what love is? And when you romanticize love the way you see it on TV or in movies, sometimes when the reality of it hits you, you don't know what to think. When the reality of a relationship hits, you don't know what to think, and you're running around trying to create this picture that you've seen on TV by being the good wife or the good husband, and you're forgetting about yourself. And while you're forgetting about yourself and you're all about this other person, that other person is with someone else. And which is what's happening in this case. And I don't know if she's not taking care of herself, but she sounds really sad. And it is really sad, right? It's really sad when your partner or your spouse cheats on you. It's not a good place to be. And like I said, these things can be worked out. It's not that having an affair is the end of the relationship. Like, it's not the happiest point of a relationship by all means, but it doesn't have to be the end all if both parties can work out and come to an understanding of what the expectations are in the relationship and how you're going to move forward. Because when there's cheating, there's hurt, right? And there's loss of trust. And when there's loss of trust, that trust, if you're going to stay together, that trust needs to be regained. Now, and that takes time, right? That might take years. It's not going to happen overnight, but if both people are willing to work it out, it can be something that happens and actually helps your relationship grow. Not that you needed cheating to help your relationship grow, but the coming back together and working through it can be a starting point that accelerates your relationship, and you might find that you have a deeper connection with the person than when you did before, because maybe before that whole incident you had lost yourself. But now when both people find themselves and you figure out that in a relationship you have this dynamic of two people who need to somewhat maintain their individuality and then come together to make a powerhouse, to run their household the way that they want to, and maybe have kids and run this life the way they want to, and figure out how they're going to see eye to eye on the things that they don't agree on, then that can make for something very powerful. But in this case, this gentleman is telling her like he doesn't want to work on it. I read a book once. I can't remember what it's called, but I can't remember the doctor's name. He said he was a relationship specialist, and he said that you don't need the other person to fix what's going on. And what do I mean by that? You have to start with you. So whether or not the person stays in the relationship with you, when something like this happens, it's a wake-up call for you to work on you, because now you need to figure out what you're worth, right? And when I say what you're worth, what your values are, what your boundaries are, because obviously when you don't set boundaries early on, this tends to happen. Because if there had been a conversation that if this, then that, or if this happens, then you know what, I'm not going to stand for it, or this is what's going to happen if this occurs, then you have a ground to stand on. But when there's no boundary at the beginning of the relationship, it's like you're flailing, and then all of a sudden somebody says they want to go flail somewhere else, and you're still left here flailing and waiting for them to come join you, but they've conjoined with somebody else on the other side of the room, on the other side of the sea, or whatever. So you have to, if you're going to stay together, set boundaries. And I think you have to decide what not just what your expectations are, but what you're willing to accept. What is acceptable for you? And that's going to be different for everyone, because in this situation, if she decides like, okay, she's just going to stay in the house and he's going to just keep going on and doing what he's doing while they're in the house together, obviously the other woman, which is ironic, right? The other woman in this situation has set a boundary. She gave him an ultimatum. She said, hey, if you don't leave your wife, then I'm out of this picture. So she set the ultimatum. And so to show her that he respects her, he's honoring that ultimatum. And we're all thinking, why aren't you being respectful to your wife? The wife didn't have boundaries. She did not set an ultimatum. And I'm not throwing shade when I make these videos, I'm not throwing shade, because I've been there. Many people have been there. And you have to know, you have to start by working on yourself, and because you need to know that you are good before all else. You need to know that whether or not the person stays, that you're going to be okay. I'm not saying that it's not going to be painful. 9 years with somebody and then your relationship ends and he's telling you, or she's telling you, like she's going with another man, he's going with another woman. That's not an easy thing. He did cheat, came clean and said, yes, I am cheating, but no, I'm not going to continue cheating because now the other woman has requested an ultimatum. This is a call, or let's just call it an awakening. This is an awakening to work on yourself and love yourself first. Because, first of all, if you don't love yourself first and fill yourself up with love, there's no way that you can love someone the way that they may need to be loved, or that would be appropriate for you to love them, if you will. So filling up your cup first is so important, because when you fill up your cup, the other person knows. That shows the other person how to love you. Because they're like, oh, okay, this is what you like, this is how you do, and this is what you expect. with the expectations. I'm not saying you should have expectations in a marriage from somebody else. You need to have expectations from yourself, and then someone can match you. When you're allowing this, there's a lack of self-esteem, right? That's going on in that situation, where she feels like, you know what, like, it's okay, I'll just stay, and eventually it'll work out and the other woman will go away. But at this point, at this juncture, in this conversation that she's having, he's already telling her, like, I respect this woman more than I respect you. Why? And it's a very simple thing. It's not the sex. It's not the sex. It's that woman's confidence to tell him, and her confidence to set boundaries with him and say, you know what, yep, we've been doing this, but no more. That's it. It's over. If you're staying with your wife, then you go be with your wife. And then if not, then I gotta hit the road, Jack. So as far as mindset goes, I think when we are faced with this situation, my first thing is to say, and I know it's really hard in this situation, to go to self-accountability. Sit back and go, what am I doing to be accountable for me? What am I doing to meet my expectations? What am I doing in this situation that is against my own morals, how do I now align myself? What work do I need to do? And that may include that you need to read some self-help books. You may need to go see a counselor to change your mindset, because maybe you've seen other relationships dynamics that work this way, right? The husband cheats, the wife cheats, and the side affair just keeps going on, and then everybody within the household just pretends like it's not happening. A lot of things, or vice versa. A lot of different dynamics that are out there. And if she decides that, you know what, no, that's fine. I love myself enough to know that I don't want to be with somebody who wants to be with somebody else. Why would you want to be with someone who doesn't want to be with you? It doesn't make sense, right? If the wife starts to take care of herself and just says, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine, because I don't want to be with you if you want to be with somebody else, because I don't want to be with someone who wants to be with someone else, and she starts to do the things to show herself love, she may realize that he starts to turn around. And that happens so often, right? But maybe too little, too late. And here's the other thing. Because do you want to be, what do you call it? Not breadcrumb, I'm looking for the word. It is, do you want to be second seat? Do you want to be his second choice? It's more complicated than that. So this takes conversations. But in the moment when the person's telling you, like, hey, I'm out, I want to be with this woman, I don't want to be with you anymore, you need to believe them, and you need to take care of yourself, and you need to say, that's good, I'm glad to know it, and I know even if you gotta go cry later, I'm glad to know it, and you know what, I wouldn't want to be with somebody that doesn't want to be with me, so I'm glad you told me, and keep it moving, and do what you gotta do to start taking care of yourself and possibly separate. This is all changing our mindsets. We shouldn't be compromising, and I call it self-worth, but we shouldn't, it's not just self-worth, it's our values. We shouldn't be compromising our values for somebody else in the name of love. If somebody is not aligned with your values today and about a situation like this, how will they align with you in other values that you have? And the other thing is that, do you know your values? Because if you're saying, I want to stay with him, I want to stay with him even if he doesn't want to be with me, where are your values at? So it's time to take a look. It's time to talk to somebody to help you figure out where you are with your values for yourself and what you need to do to start taking care of yourself so that you can be more confident and exude that value that you have. So anyhow, I hope this video finds you well. Until next time, drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this topic. And until next time, I am sending you love, light, and knowledge. See you then.